Okay, welcome to our development subcommittee meeting. Um, Nice to see you, Carol. Greg. Why don't I just jump in and report on what I've done with respect to our event. I've invited Lighthouse, which is the bank that has this goal of 500 ADU financings in Massachusetts this year. I have left a message with one of the banks that just did the event in New Bedford. That's Bay Coast. And so I'm hoping someone will call me back. I invited Backyard ADUs by email, following up on a thread for a previous invitation I'd made to them to join one of our Thursday meetings. And I have spoken with a modular builder, BB Tiny Houses, which is in Western Massachusetts, and invited them and him. And he asked me to follow up by email because he may have some scheduling issues, which leads me to, I think, the conclusion we should maybe go ahead and choose a date so that we can be concrete in our invitations. So let me pause there.
That just listening to you say what you were saying made me think, oh my goodness, do we have a date and I don't know if we got it?
Yeah,
Or
well,
we
we
need to
have
get
we have a
one.
week. We said the week of June 9th.
Yeah, so I think it makes a lot of sense to get an actual date.
I agree. And have a little wrinkle scheduling wise, which I don't think I realized when we met. Is any the week of June 2nd would be a little more viable for me, especially if we're talking about a Friday.
Okay.
I could do June 6th.
Well, so let me just look at the calendar so I know what we're talking about. I we haven't settled on a venue. I guess at right now I see that the meeting rooms at North or South Amherst Library seem to be the clearest contenders. Both of those are not going to be open in the evenings on Thursday or Friday. And so I'm wondering if a Wednesday evening might be our best choice.
Possibly I will update that I have learned that that at least for the South Amherst Library, and I think probably for the North one, the hours are not relevant. And as a town event, we can
Okay.
just get a
Okay.
key
Okay.
and do it.
And the hours are not what? Relevant?
We can bypass the hours that the library may be open and
Oh, we can use hours that it's not regularly open.
correct. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Being dense, but so then are we back to Friday? Was that your
Yeah.
reason, Gaston, for Wednesday?
Well, that was the reason for not going Thursday, and so I guess I worry that my feeling is that we're more like people have more conflicts on Fridays than Thursdays is my own sense. You know, whether it's someone going away for the weekend or just having planned something on a Friday. And so my sense is that we can do better with attendance on a Thursday evening than a Friday evening. Do you guys share that intuition?
That kind of makes sense to me. Friday evening is like everybody just worked all week and they don't want to do anything anyway except crash out or have fun or something other than go to another bloody meeting for sure. So, yeah, even if you're not going anywhere, it just is a traditional, I'm done with everything. It's 5 o'clock on Friday. Goodbye. I'm like, whatever. So,
So if we're looking at and that's all sounds valid to me. So if we're looking at these, at these 2 weeks, so my wrinkle is the week of June 9th. So that would be, or rather the week. All right, so the week of June 2nd, on Wednesday and Thursday, the 4th and 5th, is the MHP Housing Institute, which is in Worcester, which am really hoping to attend. So I could probably get back for a meeting Thursday, at 5 or something, but it would just be tight and limit my ability to
But
do legwork.
I thought we had selected the week of 9, so it would be June 12th, Thursday, June 12th.
Oh wait, sorry, I'm in the wrong month here. Okay, wait, am I in the right?
Thursday, June 12th, I think, is our
Is our
usual
monthly
meeting day, so we
It
should
is.
all be available.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, we could conclude before, that might be a fun thing to do, actually.
Well, and
Yeah.
we could potentially see if people think they could make an in-person meeting. Maybe on June. I don't know if that would make sense also, but yeah, I guess I'm not opposed to jamming it all in the same day and going, as long as we have a logistics plan for cleanup or anything like that. Or I suppose we could start at 7:30 that month.
What are you saying? We should have this thing and then have our meeting?
Well, that's what I'm playing around with. So I'm not saying it's a good idea, but that's what I'm playing around with in my mind.
I was kind of thinking of it being in lieu of our meeting.
Okay.
Instead of a meeting, this month we're having a wonderful event. I mean, I don't know if we have so much that we need to do that won't work, then.
Okay.
But at least like last time, we hardly had enough to do anyway. I don't know. So.
Okay. Okay, it's an interesting suggestion. Greg, what reactions do you have here as we're
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I think it's viable. I mean, I think, there's sort of two similar solutions. One could be just not holding a meeting that month. Two could be, you know, penciling in, 30 to 45 minutes, for a formal business meeting in person. I would say that, I'm not aware of anything major coming down the pipe right now that we might have to address. My hope would be that if we locked into the 12th and then something did come down the pipe, we could agree to schedule something, off our regular schedule to address anything major. Is that, does that feel okay?
that sounds fine to me. What do you think, Carol?
I think that's fine. If something really important comes up, we'll just all agree to be there 45 minutes early or 45 minutes late or something.
We'll split off to
Different
another
day or
room while people are mingling and whatever.
Yeah. Somehow, I'm sure we can make it work. And
Okay.
I think it might be, I mean, we at least, and some of the people who ever come to our meetings are used to the second Thursday night being a housing thing. I just think it might actually be advantageous.
Okay, well, so if this is all sounding good to us, we can and Greg, I take it you haven't had any feedback based on anyone you've reached out to about the date.
No, I've not. I mean,
Okay.
but my general sense is I think the Thursday, sort of is the sweet spot, unless we were to do like a weekend, which raises other issues, and
all right.
And I'll just say too, and I don't think, other than my own schedule, which I can manage, I don't think there's any conflict here. But the thing I'll note is we just scheduled on the 11th, an initial public engagement effort for the South Amherst school site. Um, I tend to think that's a totally different audience, and I don't think, so maybe a hair of overlap, but not in any kind of way that we're going to lose participants in either based on the proximity. So
Where is that event?
that's going to be right now. It is tentatively booked for the
I gotta answer this phone call. I'll be right
Okay.
go
back.
for it. That's at the South Amherst Library.
Okay.
And that's and I don't think these are the same. I don't think there would be any utility in
Okay.
trying to mash them up or anything. It's a
Okay.
different thing, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Good. Now, then let's go with June 12th. And I haven't gone to check out the two libraries yet, so I guess I'd be interested in having a visual on them to be able to see if one seems better suited than the other.
Yeah, I am told the some lack of clarity. There's I guess what's referred to as a hall. I think maybe like a big foyer area where events are often held in the South Amherst Library, which I'm told is nice.
Okay.
Some lack of clarity on how accessible it is and what bars it clears there. And
Okay.
so I would want to confirm it's
Okay.
it clears that, that bar.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I mean, all other things equal, I'd be inclined to if there, if there's no advantage to the spaces, I'd be inclined to go to North Amsterdam just to patronize the new one.
sure. Okay. So yeah, I can look into actually I think I might maybe even see something right now. Let's see if I have anything.
I see that we can reserve these through the town system pretty straightforwardly.
Yes. Um, and there's a calendar which I can look at now. I can't change it, but John branches. Bear with. North Amherst calendar. June 6 looks like when we didn't say June 6, we said June
Well,
12th. Oh yeah, looks like there is something right now in the North Amherst.
okay.
Sometimes there are recurring events that aren't actually real. So I
Yeah.
can investigate. But as of now, North Amherst might be booked, assuming it has only one room. I don't know, so I'll have to follow up about that. But how about I seek a room with North Amherst as the priority, but I'll look to book something, it just as a
To guarantee something.
you
Yeah.
to guarantee something, and then if we can find something nicer, great. But
Okay. Sounds good.
does that sound good, Carol?
Yep.
Or is Carol still on the? Oh, you're still on mute, Carol.
Okay, I'm here. I heard all that,
Okay.
All right.
or at least a bunch of that.
um, excellent. So,
So can I
yeah.
just, is the time 7 to 9 or
Oh,
something, or do we have a different time in mind?
I tend to think we should go earlier. Um,
I
you
think
know,
we should start earlier, and then it's the kind of what's the ideal range so we can get both ends of the range suiting some people.
I think like a 4:30 to 6:30 kind of thing. Like maybe if we do a presentation, maybe that starts 5:15 or 5:30, something like that. Um, how does that land?
I guess that's okay. It seems like if people work, can they get there by 4:30?
No, I mean that's why I want to hold
Yeah.
off on doing a formal presentation until after 5. But I
Yeah.
think,
Okay,
um,
got it, got it. So we come and wander around and look at things or whatever in the world happens
Yeah.
first. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, maybe I guess maybe if we're gonna have like a formal presentation like that, maybe like 5:30 is even a little more realistic.
okay,
But that still gives plenty of we can have mingling and so on before that.
sure. So yeah, maybe doors at 4:45, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just in case, you can imagine somebody wants to stop by on their way home,
Okay. Yep. Yep.
and hey, if can I
Yeah.
just,
Yep. Sounds good. Yeah.
yeah, and then
Okay.
so like 4:45, 5:30, and then I think an hour tops for a presentation. I mean, right?
Oh,
Like,
I mean, I actually my sense of presentations would be even shorter,
okay,
like a half hour max is what I was visualizing.
total for the
Like
whole.
for like presentations where like people have to be like looking to one place.
Okay,
So that the bulk of it would be the mingling of people having conversations and kind of um
great.
so that there's a
And
cluster of people talking to this bank and to that builder and yeah.
if they had like, I don't know, tables or something almost around the room. So the
Yes.
presenters were presenting, here's what my table is about, sort
Yeah.
of. And you get an
Yes.
overview, then you know where you might want to go and talk to somebody about something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that raises I mean, I guess I have a content question, but maybe we should hold off on that for a minute. Um, okay, so that's timing. That makes sense. And then, we're wrapped up by, I mean, I think formal wrap by like 6:20, 6:30. We have
Yeah.
stragglers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's no
Yeah.
biggie, but
That sounds good to me.
all right.
It
Um,
Um,
does, saying that does seem like it means maybe something for the space, which it means we want a space where we could have not just a bunch of people sitting somewhere, but
oh yeah.
room around somewhere for the
Yeah.
tables or for the things that happen after the presentation.
yep. I know somebody had a great idea of taping a floor plan, which is a lot of fun. So, room for that kind of thing. Um, so, venue, trying to think other logistics matters that make sense to address up front here. Got to find a location. We've got a time nailed down and a date.
I guess if it would be interesting to either simulcast or record the presentations so that we get kind of durable content out of it.
Uh, I have a note to contact Amherst Community Television. What are they called? Amherst Media.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'll see if they're. I haven't done that yet, but I can ask. Um, yeah, and let's see what's doable there. I don't think we should tweak the event too much to satisfy
Mm-hmm.
tech needs, but if they can fit into it,
Yep.
that'd be good. Um, okay. So, and then maybe can I just offer a couple updates too, and just following up on what Gaston did on outreach. So I have contacted, and not heard back from anybody actually, but People's a contact there, People's Bank, Greenfield Savings Bank, um, um, the home modification loan program. I contacted the state contact who gave me a name that I haven't connected with yet at Wayfinders. That's a financial resource that's available in some of these scenarios to
Okay.
build these. Um, and Rob Williams, who's the professor that joined us. We had talked about
Yeah,
maybe having a non sort of financially vested voice here.
yeah.
S-
Speaking of just on Rob Williams, when I was looking for modular builders and so on.
I'll
Oh,
be right back.
yeah,
Sorry.
okay. I saw that. Do you know about his paper house modeled ADU design? Did you know about that?
I remember the term paper house as one of the ones that that studio built, and I
Okay.
think has gone to Holyoke since.
Well, what's interesting is that let me put the link. There was an article about it in the Current that I will. Oh, I don't have a chat.
Yeah, we're in webinar, so we don't have a chat.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if you
I'm
just if you search Amherst Current UMass ADU, you're gonna get it, or prototype. It's so they've got a UMass designed ADU, the paper house, and this suggests a starting point for freely available plans that could be a way of fast tracking a build if you're not going with a modular home.
Sure. And I'll note too that there are a lot of I'm learning there's a lot of stuff out there, like increasingly good stuff of like, you know, basically off the shelf plans,
Yeah.
that, that so that's, obviously a local resource, and he's, well, he did work in with Union Studio, I think, in Providence, if I'm not mistaken, like, which is a really well regarded sort of infill developer, but I mean, yeah, but I think there's a lot of good stuff out there along those lines. So certainly, like, if we wanted to go that route, it's definitely, there's resources out there for it. Yeah,
Great. When in my invitations, I'm including the flyer that Erica sent us from the New Bedford event to give people
great.
a sense of what we're thinking about.
Okay. Um, yeah. So can we pivot a little bit and talk about content? And
Yeah,
'cause I want to, be on the same page about is thinking about Rob and that invitation
yeah.
and sort of how we want to think about this. I I think to some degree we should be flexible until we know what we have. I am maybe feeling a little bit different than I did, or just having not heard back from a couple folks. I was sort of surprised that I didn't get like instant responses.
Okay.
So I don't want to assume we're going to have an overwhelming number of uh banks, for example, but so with that sort of fact, that's a variable number, and I think we can get to a minimum threshold, right?
Yeah.
Um, but not knowing whether we'll have a bunch or just one or two, that will influence it. But if the format of the presentation, I guess one of my questions is, do we just want to have, like, here's what's at my table, right? Which would
Uh,
be somewhat redundant, if we had
yeah.
multiple lenders or whatever,
Uh-huh.
or do we want to have more of a
Yeah.
formalized, like, we'll have to draft one of those folks, here's the lender speaker, here's the builder speaker, here's the,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm picturing like 4-minute presentations and that follow a logical sequence, like maybe first someone who has built one and what it's done for their lives
Mhm.
or how they've been able to rent it, someone from the town about how you go through the process, or an attorney, a real estate attorney who actually would want some business and can be helpful in explaining things, and maybe we'll be giving kind of free threshold level legal advice that evening. Then uh, builder one, builder two, bank one, bank two. And that's now 7 times 4 is 28 minutes. So that's kind of my vision of it.
So rather
Or
than
I was
just,
just gonna say, I like what you said, except I think the one thing that has to be in there is some, either before or after the person who built one maybe, is here's what the rule now is
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how it impacts you, and some general
yep,
overviewy kind of thing.
yep. So I was thinking that maybe that would be like the real estate attorney coupled with someone from the town.
Okay, it's just so it's somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think towards the front end.
Yes, exactly.
So that makes sense. I think the question that I have, or the obstacle I want to surface, that we'll have to navigate if we take that approach, is if we say that everybody who joins us, or the majority of them
Mhm.
get a 4-minute slot, that's going to be a fairly unwieldy presentation format, both in the because
Yeah.
it's not 4 times 7, it's 4 times 7. uh,
Well,
like
yes.
the transitions and stuff get sticky,
Yeah. Yeah.
versus like the alternative approach would be to like just pick one from each
Yeah.
sphere and sculpt it a little more and give them
Mhm.
some prompts and tell them how, because I think the other thing too is I would like, ideally, content wise, to sort of help script a little bit the flow from the attorney, for example, into the
Mhm.
builder,
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you, and we have to manage that. I'm comfortable kind of figuring out who's going to join us and then constructing this narrative based on that. I'm comfortable, for example, that we get to the lenders and it's just like, I'm Bay State, here's our specialty, we'd love to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. And then so just introductions from the banks, or even introduction. So I'm comfortable bringing it down to just that, as long as we feel like we've given a skeleton of how to think about this in the presentation.
Got it. So then probably in our outreach, let's not make promises around,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're gonna
No,
get to
no,
speak
no,
or
right.
whatever.
At
Okay.
this
All
point,
right.
it's, can they show up?
Yeah. Okay.
Do they want to be in the, I'm thinking of it more almost like poster presentations. Do you want to have a booth
Yep.
and
Okay.
and talk to people? Yes. And then when we get our confirmed RSVPs, we'll see what we got to work with and how we make the most out of it.
Okay. Great. Great.
Is everybody that we might want to possibly be there being contacted by one or the other of you? Because I don't have anybody that I'm contacting, and if there's somebody that I should be contacting and you tell me who it is, I'd be glad to do that.
Well, Carol, do you have any? Do you know anyone who has built an ADU in town?
Not off the top of my head, and the
Okay.
only one, yeah, I don't know off the
Okay.
top of my head,
Okay.
but the town somewhere knows. If somebody,
Yeah.
how do we find that out? If we find that out, I'd be happy to talk to
Yeah.
whoever we
Why don't
find.
we make that the plan? If we can get some info from the town that they can share, then that could be Carol's outreaches to the local folks.
Okay.
For sure. I'm looking to see, I have ADU version 2. I have a spreadsheet. Probably doesn't have names on it. So what I don't know. Oh, okay. Here's some names. Okay. So I gotta find out if it's kosher for me to share out. Um,
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
Carol, do you know, any chance you've come across either of the women who own Integrity Development? One of them, I believe, is Anna Cook.
No,
Okay.
I have
That's
not.
all right. If you're up for it, I mean, so I'm just looking at this list of permits here, and note that at least 2 of them are um the same person, and I know she's a developer. Would you want to just contact her?
If it's
Um,
okay for you, if it's okay for you
yeah,
to have told me
but
this,
because I know,
I'd be happy to. I just
so
don't want to
yeah, I mean,
mess something up.
no, you won't, because she's not a homeowner. She, like, her, I see her name here, and I know that it's there because she was the developer representing the homeowner.
Okay.
And I know they advertise these services. I think it's fine to reach out. I think I may have contacted them when we were doing our outreach to developers and those folks around the HPP. I don't know if she came to any of those one-on-ones, but I'll send you her info.
Okay, great. And
And yeah,
I'll do that.
okay. Great. And then I'll have to see what I have. It might just be their website, but that's a good start. And then, Gaston, I think we got to keep just thinking about constituents here. It feels like, yeah, I
I
don't
guess,
know. Go on, Carol.
well, it occurs to me that I have a question. If this person is integrity builders, and so they have built some, and I'm asking them about just to have somebody talk about the process, but are they somebody we want to have as a
Yeah.
developer?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
double, there's
Yeah.
two questions for them,
Well,
really.
invite them to join as a developer, and then we'll figure out our program.
yeah.
Okay.
We're trying to gather homeowners to learn about, how to get accessory dwelling units done, and we know you've been involved in doing that in the past, and we'd love to connect you with interested folks in town.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The other
Okay.
question for them, Carol, would be whether they worked with a local real estate attorney who they recommend as someone who could help explain things.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And then right, so Greg, send Carol. Send Carol integrity. Carol already has integrity.
There you go.
Um, and then lenders, I think, I'm optimistic that the Lighthouse folks
Yeah.
will be, and then Gaston, have you been able to reach out to UMass 5?
No, I didn't.
Um,
I just saw their name again, so that I remembered them.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're up, it might be worth prioritizing
Yeah,
them. And I think
yeah,
probably
I
I'll
will.
prioritize I'll follow up with the two contacts at People's in Greenfield / Northampton
Well,
Savings.
you
Yeah.
said Greenfield Savings. Did you call Greenfield Savings or Greenfield Co-op?
Um, where does Tara work? I think it's Greenfield Co-op. Director Greenfield Savings Bank.
Okay, they might also be good, but it's the other one. The one is the one that I know.
Is Greenfield Co-op? Okay.
Co-op is the one that I've worked with. But
So yeah, so there you go. So you
yeah,
can follow that thread, and I'll follow up with my
okay, I'll
contact.
go with
Yeah.
Greenfield Co-op and UMass 5. Yeah,
All right.
my guess, uh, Greg, is that the reason you haven't heard back is that they don't quite know if they do ADUs or not.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that
Could be.
that was the that's what I heard from the person at the HMLP program. She's like, yeah, the Cape Cod folks have figured it out. The big banks won't touch it, and the more regional banks locally in this part of the state probably don't know it yet. But that can be part of this too. In fact, yeah, that's actually a good.
I wonder if any of
Yeah.
them would be, maybe this is really sneaky, but I wonder if any of them would be more receptive to coming if they knew that we had on tap an out of town bank that was really into doing this. Would that make them think that they better get in the game now before there's too much competition?
I mean, I
I
think
don't know.
finding a creative way to mention that probably can't hurt. But I think if we don't after the fact, probably. Yeah, I mean, and I think ultimately just getting a hold of the right and getting to the top of the right people's desks. I think the person at People's I contacted is probably too senior, and he's probably got a zillion inquiries. And the other person I contacted, it didn't go directly to her. I don't have her email. I just had her. Um, there's a weird like contact filter they have, but so that might take a couple days, um, but yeah, I think it can't hurt to mention that. The other thing too, Carol, is if you talk to Integrity, um, they might, depending on how, I don't know how many builds they have in Amherst or elsewhere, but some folks, some developers might be familiar with lenders that their clients have used, and
Yeah,
just asking for leads there, might be
yeah.
worth it. Yeah.
If we decide that we want to try to involve Florence Bank, I know the bank, the local branch manager well enough to kind of walk in and have a conversation if that's helpful.
Yeah, certainly ask if they
Abs-
do, if they've gotten into financing ADUs. Yes.
Yeah. And the other side of this too, especially if we can have some conversations with the right people, is this could be a learning opportunity for them as well. I mean, they're not all going to know, especially folks a couple degrees away from the underwriting, they're not all going to know about the state changes or, how Fannie and Freddie treat these newly as of a year ago. And, you know, um, so I think this is also, it's not just an opportunity for them to contribute, but an opportunity for them to learn. And
Even just talking to them about it is
yeah,
outreach about the whole
for
ADU
sure.
thing.
For sure. But I think generally, other than my guess is Lighthouse and maybe some of the Cape Cod banks have a specific product, but generally these are just home equity lines of credit or
Well,
home
it's got to
equity
be a building loan.
or building loans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so it's so all of them probably have products that they have historically not used for these purposes, but could, without any regulatory changes.
I think it's figuring out because it's a different sort of thing, figuring out for them how to underwrite it will be the thing they have to figure out.
Well, it's the adaptations they make to their stock products that makes it easier. So this Lighthouse, they've agreed that they appraise based on the final build and give you 100% credit on the rents, on market rents, and so on. It's these decisions that make it work easier.
Yeah.
I think to Greg's point, if I'm an enterprise, if I'm someone who's in a position to be enterprising on behalf of any of these banks, then you definitely want to hear what these other banks are doing, because you could be the first into this market, and loans is how they make money.
Yep. Okay. So lenders, I think we have some concrete plans there.
We've got an invitation to Integrity coming.
Yep.
Backyard ADUs done. I've got
And we already
possible. Yeah.
and we already have a commitment, and I can follow up with him. The person Grover connected us to at
Okay.
the rare form operation in East Hampton. They had expressed openness so I'll get them a date.
Well, we're gonna get whoever was the person from UMass who made that little map of here's all the places you could put ADUs. As we talked to that person,
I've reached out to him.
That's Rob.
It's
Yeah,
end
that's
of
Rob.
semester,
Yeah.
so that's the issue there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Good point.
Is college busy right now? Okay.
Okay, so why don't we go ahead and find the next day we want to meet so that we can keep the momentum going and kind of front load getting commitments that
Sure.
allow us to start marketing the event.
Yeah, and I think we're pretty close to that. So
Yeah,
maybe
we're
we can
close.
get,
We're
yeah.
close. Absolutely. So, having the date is big. Let's see.
So yeah, so regarding dates, so we actually have something on the calendar, but I'd like to revise it as I'm not
Okay.
available.
Okay.
And the other
When
ring,
is it?
that is a week from today, actually.
Oh, okay.
At this looks like same time, same place, 1 o'clock, and that was our regularly scheduled one.
Okay.
We added this in. However, I'm going to be probably driving back from Rochester at that point. I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah, no, that's a little
yeah.
too soon.
I can't do it then either, actually.
Okay,
So
well, so I I'm gonna be out the week of the 28th, after Monday. So if you guys think we can wait until the 5th, I'd propose the 5th or 6th.
Viable for me.
works for me. Either one of them I think is
Okay.
okay.
How about um yeah, should we do middle of the day on the 6th, and that'll be a reminder for us to make any follow-up calls that morning?
Sure, sounds good. And so yeah, that Tuesdays are are 2:30 days for me. So 1 o'clock on the 6th. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. So I'm
All
gonna
right.
all right. So of the series of meetings that I sent out for these, I'll adjust just the one which is
Okay.
currently scheduled for the for next week to May 6th at 1. And then um I have one other just committee thing unrelated to this event. But are we good on the ADU event at this point for now?
Yeah.
Getting there. I think we have a lot of stuff kind of in place and kind of up in the air, but
Yeah, we're
coming
in the
back down.
shotgun phase of invitations. We'll lock them up, and then we
Yeah.
can get into the kind of concreteness of the day.
Yeah.
But you've got on your list the making a reservation somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
good.
Yeah, sort of the minimum viable products, and it requires that for sure. Yeah, and just in general, I think if we can get the skeletal, the most various skeletal pieces locked in, and then just really work to start getting it out that week, after we meet, hopefully, maybe I can draft a flyer before then. I'll probably want to do some sort of soft RSVP function just so we can track people, maybe on Facebook or something.
Okay.
But I'm just ultimately interested here in, like, for me, it's like, how many people are we going to get out to this thing, And I think if we get if we do outreach relatively robustly and get very few people, that'll tell us one thing. If we get a whole bunch of people, that'll tell us another thing, And I
Okay.
think that's very valuable to me.
Let's okay, let's at our next meeting, let's talk about uh a marketing strategy that includes writing articles for
Yep.
we can, maybe Alex can write something for the Amherst Current, whom he writes for.
There you go.
I can do a letter to the Gazette.
Our PR person this is on her radar already, and I'll send her this date and get this in her
Okay.
in her workflow. She's really good when I give her advance notice.
Okay.
So now we'll have a date for her. Great. So yeah, so we'll talk about marketing next time.
Sounds important. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
So then the other piece I was going to raise was we had talked about pre-approved ADUs and beginning to go down exploring that route. How we might deploy pre-approved architectural plans, or a friendly permitting path or something like that. And the building commissioner is happy to meet with us. I also confirm him for our, I don't know if that's appropriate for our next meeting or not, but he's happy to join the three of us in our, when we can all make it work. So that's positive. Should we?
Good.
Yeah, seems like maybe a stretch for that May 6th meeting. or would we like to try and get it in there?
Were we thinking, were we thinking that whatever he comes up with will have some input into the event on the 12th?
I don't think so. No, I think this is this was to be a longer range project. You know, and I think the first step with him, you know, and he agreed, is just brainstorming like what are the fertile areas to look at, you know, what are the more problematic ones to not lead with, you know, and figure out, you know, sort of the broad strokes of it. So
It's,
that's
I guess in that case, I'd rather have all the time that we need to make sure we have this thing on the 12th working well and not try to fit that into the 6th or maybe even until after the 12th of June so that we see how we're going. But I don't want to rush him or rush us trying to do this. I think it would be better to wait.
okay.
I mean, I guess, Gaston, what do you think?
No, I mean, I appreciate your note of sanity, Carol, because I tend towards the insanity.
Balance. All right. So I'll let him know that we, you know, we'll follow up, you know, after you know, sometime in June or July, something like that. But okay. That is codified in the housing production plan strategies as well.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Well, unless we have anything else, I think we've used our time well.
Sounds good to
Okay.
me.
Bravo.
All right. It's a bit chilling to see that we need 4 more people on the trust. I saw that announcement.
Yeah. Well, we can I know we have some you know, some very strong backup folks at
Okay.
the at the ready.
All right.
Well,
You know,
I'm perfectly willing to not leave until there's enough people in place to make it work well. So
Okay. Well, appreciate that, Carol. And you see if you can pass the baton to someone you know.
find someone. I know. Yeah.
all right.
All right,
All right.
folks. Good to see you.
All right. Thanks to
Take
both of you.
care.
Bye.
All right.
So long.
So long.